The world's biggest global body outside the UN is suspending Syria's membership. The Organisation of Islamic Cooperation will also hold an emergency summit to agree a resolution on the country. Iran is the only member of the bloc to have openly spoken out against sidelining Damascus, but several member countries like Qatar and Saudi Arabia are pushing to mobilise support for Syrian rebels. Long-standing regional rivals, Sunni-dominated Riyadh and Shiite Tehran, have taken opposite stances on Syria, I guess as you'd expect. This as Syria's opposition steps up calls for a Libya-style intervention, with reports that fighters who toppled Gaddafi are among rebel ranks. Let's talk more about this now with Dr. Ibrahim Alou. She's from the Zaytuna University in Amman. Doctor, you're live on RT. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. It's Kevin Owen here tonight talking to you. Now, some experts say Syria's conflict has long ceased being a domestic one, that it's not only about rebels versus Assad, but more of a question of Saudi Arabia versus Iran and Turkey's increasing role in the Middle East. There's so much in the pot here, isn't there? What do you think?
I think it's not only Saudi Arabia versus Iran, it's also Russia and China versus NATO and the United States. What we are talking about here is a conflict with many dimensions that are mainly not domestic, that are mainly regional and international in scope. So what we have here is an armed rebellion that is being supported, financed, and politically covered by these people, petrodollars mainly, money earned from selling oil in the service of imperialism. And these people have been raising and waving the flags of freedom and democracy, but we have seen some of the atrocities they have committed in Syria, most recently in Aleppo, against supporters of the Assad regime, and they are many, by the way. There are many in Syria, and I would say at least more than half the population are solidly behind al-Assad's regime now, and these people may have grievances and they may have things that they want to change about that regime, but they are definitely against the fragmentation of Syria and filling Syria's streets with blood, as has been happening recently, as you have seen.
So, Doctor, I guess you don't give much credence to the former Syrian Prime Minister who we heard today. Of course, he recently defected to Jordan. He said Syria's regime is collapsing. He says it controls less than 30% or about 30% of the country. So if that's true, why are the rebels pleading for a no-fly zone and foreign action in Syria? Begs the question, doesn't it?
Well, I think Mr. Riyad Hijab, who has recently defected to Jordan after having been Prime Minister and without practically giving any legitimate list of demands or complaints against the regime that he was serving in. Many believe he was bought off by Saudi Arabia and Qatar with millions of dollars. We don't know how much right now, but that's the story we have been getting from different quarters. As far as controlling the land, well, you know, the main bases, the cities, the main streets are controlled by the regime and its supporters. But when you have a hide-and-seek operation taking place, as you have witnessed in Chechnya and other places around Russia, it's fairly easy for a group of rebels that are being helped and financed from abroad to operate under guerrilla warfare, to strike here and there and then disappear. It's very crucial that we mention here that the meeting in Mecca that was that is aiming to expel the Syrian regime comes on the heels of another defeat for the Syrian opposition in Aleppo. They were supposed to have held a meeting for Arab foreign ministers in Jeddah 2 days ago, but that was postponed in wait for what was going to happen in Aleppo. And of course, the opposition forces in Aleppo, after having said that that battle was supposed to be the decisive one to win over Syria, well, they fled before a handful of tanks and a few thousand soldiers. The Syrian army did not even have to throw all of its weight into that battle. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we're slightly running out of time. There's a few other things I wanted to ask you. There are also reports that the US and other Western states are seeking to build more direct links with the rebels, while at the same time trying to distance themselves, we hear, from the Syrian National Council, who maybe they don't trust so much anymore. How exactly is Washington going to deal with the rebels? Who's it going to deal through? Or is it going to go direct?
Well, the rebels, as you have seen, are made up of different bands. There are outlaws, smugglers, there are Muslim brothers, there are Al-Qaeda supporters, and in different places they cooperate or they compete against one another, sometimes using guns. The purpose here is to destroy the country, and many Syrians and Arabs have come to see that for what it is. Syria is supposed to fall into chaos and fragmentation, as has happened in Somalia before and in Iraq. So the United States has been engaged in implementing the design of creative chaos in Syria, which basically leaves Israel, the superpower, the regional superpower that is dealing with dozens upon dozens of mini states that have been cut off along ethnic and sectarian lines.
Dr. Ibrahim Alouche from Zaytuna University in Amman, thanks ever so much for your thoughts.
Thank you.